Anthony, switching gears a bit here. Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy on Capitol Hill today. The new Department of Government Efficiency, Anthony. I'm just curious to get your take on that, what you make of it. Do you think it's a worthwhile effort?
Listen, I've been around too long. I hate to be this cynical, but these things have never worked. I'm old enough to remember the Grace Commission under Ronald Reagan. They presented all these cost-cutting measures to the government. None of them went into place. I'm old enough to remember Simpson Bowles. That happened during the Obama administration. Those guys put together a very comprehensive bipartisan plan. They submitted it to Paul Ryan and President Obama. It ended up in a paper shredder. The Musk-Ramaswamy situation, these are very smart, capable entrepreneurs. Elon Musk is arguably one of the most successful people in human history. And so I don't want to bet against these guys, but I know how Washington works, and I know how slow it is in the process of cutting things, and I know how many legal protections are in place for things like entitlements. You know, somebody suggested, I think this morning, that they were going to cut $119 billion of veterans' medical benefits. I think there would be a huge political uproar on that. I don't even know if it's necessarily legal. So could they get some things done on the margin? I'm hoping that they can do that. Can they cut $2 trillion from the federal budget? I don't think that they can do that, and I think we have to be realistic about it.
Anthony, we know that you campaigned against now President-elect Trump, right? What do you think is the biggest potential upside, particularly for investors, from his presidency, and what are you most worried about at this point?
Well, I did campaign against him. You know, I worked for him. I have an understanding of how he thinks, and I'm worried about the lack of predictability, and I'm worried about the process. As an example, he has not signed the ethics agreement yet for the transition. He hasn't received the federal money for the transition, and there's things like that that go on. You know, the fact that he's meeting with all these foreign leaders right now, I find astonishing, because way back in 2016, I was present when President-elect Trump met Shinzo Abe, then the Prime Minister of Japan, and President Obama called him and said, you know, this is sort of a Hatch Act violation. Could you not do this? And President Trump was compliant with that. But now I think he's met with at least 3 or 4 different leaders. And I think this sort of stress on the system and the stress on the traditions have me worried. He's got a guy named Kash Patel that's up for FBI director. He said he's going to come after people in the media. He just filed a lawsuit, a personal lawsuit against Olivia Troy for, I guess, her First Amendment right to criticize him. And I think there's a danger in that. And I think if Kash Patel ends up as the FBI director and he actually goes out and starts prosecuting journalists for their free right to speak and their freedom of expression, I think it's a very dangerous time, and I think it puts a lot of stress on the economy and a lot of stress on the system. So there are things that they're willing to do that I think don't work in the United States, which is why, yes, I did campaign against.
Anthony, when you worked in the White House, were there certain things that you had to divest when you took that position? And do you think that that's going to happen with this incoming White House? Are they, you know, are there going to be conflicts of interest in terms of the assets that are held?
Well, I was in the process of following those rules and divesting, but of course I got fired, so it became moot. I didn't have to divest, but I was actively in the process of going over what the ethics rules were with my attorneys and making sure that I was legally and ethically compliant. There were other people in the cabinet, other people in the White House that just ignored those rules. I don't even think they were punished for that, and I don't think there was a lot of retribution towards them for doing that. And again, we got to be very, very careful about this stuff. You don't want to overly mix the government with business. You don't want to turn the United States into the American oligarchy. And so, again, we have to be careful with these things. And if you're telling me people are going to enter the government and not follow the ethics rules or what the potential conflicts of interest are, I'm going to tell you there's going to be decisions made that are not dispassionate decisions. They're going to be linked to people's business interests. And that's not really fair to the American people. That's not what I think the American people would like to see in their public servants.
Anthony, always great to see you and have you on the show. Thank you so much for joining
Good
us.
to be here.
Appreciate it.
You have to teach me how to grow a beard, Josh. Okay, I got to learn.
Next time.
I got to
Next
learn.
time.
Okay?
It's easy, Anthony.
Yeah. I need
It's easy.
tips. I need tips.
Thank you, sir.